Okay. Where am I looking? At the crowd over here?
Natural.
Copy. I'll talk to you guys, okay? Well, good afternoon. I am Delegate Jacky class of Virginia's 89th District, and I would like to just kick this off by actually expressing gratitude to Congresswoman Loria Bobby Scott, Senator Tim Kaine, and Senator Mark Warner for doing their respective parts in why we're here today for this legislation and bringing it right to our doorsteps. And also gratitude to some of our neighbors here and community village leaders. We have with us today Delegate Nadarius Clark of the 79th District, Mayor Shannon Glover, Miss Ebony Wright, and Mr. Rick Crandall. You know, just across the way is a district that I proudly serve, a city that I call my chosen hometown, Norfolk. A city that we can expect to see a 8-fold increase in high tide flooding over the next 30 years. And it's dumbfounding because that's within the lifetime of my grandbabies. It's a time when my little citizens, my son, my daughter, will be buying their homes. They will be starting their families. And we're talking about the flooding that is already a concern today being 8 times worse. I say that knowing that it only takes an inch of water to do $25,000 worth of damage on a home. And so today we come to stand and say we must act. Act with a capital A and with a lowercase a. With the capital A is where the Inflation Reduction Act comes in. It provides $2.6 billion in grant money to help restore and conserve the coastal habitats, just like the one that we're standing in front of right here. This is for the sake of all of our little citizens. This act will protect our communities and preserve them by making them better. Because what we do know is that the modern work that we're doing infrastructure-wise, whether it's sidewalks or flat roads, they are not gonna stop flooding. They're not gonna stop the water. So again, we act. We act again with the capital A via the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which is already had a $401 million directed to coastal storm risk and management projects. Projects designed to help flooding issues we see around here every single time it rains. Every time it rains. That $401 million is also invested in reducing damage and havoc caused by high impacts of the storms and hurricanes that we can see right in our Commonwealth. You know, taking together these new laws will help Hampton Roads that are facing coastal erosion, flooding from the curb to our front doors, and making sure that the investments that we make in infrastructure and transportation, in roads, these things are not in vain and are less susceptible to climate change. These acts are what is needed to help every single citizen today. Sorry. To minimize the impact of climate change and for the future of our little citizens that will bring us life long after I'm gone. So I'm gonna end with this, right? We need to expand clean energy economy, not only for the climate, but for a pathway to new opportunities and economic advancement of the communities that are suffering from the very cause of it. This is about economic advancement of the people in those communities, the quality of life and standards of quality of life that we set for our citizens, little citizens, your little citizens, mine, in order to buy that new home, move into their new neighborhood, be in Hampton Roads with their families. I ask our General Assembly to act with a lowercase a. We cannot squander this money that's going to come down from the federal government by not matching. This is about improving and saving the lives of people in the Commonwealth. So Norfolk has already received over $400 million in federal funding because of the great work that we've seen at the federal level, and we're just waiting on a $215 million match. To date, our Commonwealth has provided $0.00. That needs to change. And so we, as the General Assembly, needs to do me and you, we need to act with the lowercase a and ensure that our Commonwealth's credit card is charging it to the right game. And that's the game that allows us to have a home here in Hampton Roads. I thank you all and will pass you all to our next speaker, Mr. Rick Crandall, who is a retired Portsmouth education administrator. Mr. Rick Crandall.
Good morning. I am Ricardo C. Randall, and I appreciate the humble opportunity to thank Congresswoman Elaine Luria and the Virginia Federal Delegation for the hard work and votes for making the Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act legislation that will benefit us nationally, statewide, and locally. The collective call to action to make this happen, I believe, was built on the constructs of purpose, passion, and perseverance. I use these three words because in order to have a call to action, you must have a purpose to serve, a passion to support that purpose, and perseverance to ensure that the purpose and passion drives the productivity and progress to provide the best for people. The Inflation Reduction Act and the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act represent major wins for Virginia families, communities, and climate, with historic investments that would deliver cheaper and more reliable clean energy and goods for Virginia workers. The Inflation Reduction Act will create an the Reduction Act will create an estimated 9 million jobs over the next decade. For example, historic clean energy investments and related items will create nearly 5 million jobs in clean energy over the next 10 years. Tax credits, clean vehicle manufacturing loans, and related items will create more than 900,000 clean manufacturing jobs over the next 10 years. Clean vehicle tax credits, the electrification of trucks and buses, and grants supporting transit equity will create more than 400,000 jobs in clean transportation over the next 10 years. Energy efficient buildings tax credits, affordable housing investments, and related items will create more than 900,000 jobs in efficient buildings over the next 10 years. Grants for community-led projects to reduce air pollution will create roughly 150,000 jobs in environmental justice over the next 10 years. Investments to protect coastal communities from climate change, protect public lands, and support farmers will create more than 600,000 jobs in natural infrastructure over the next 10 years. The bill will also revitalize American manufacturing with tax credits for the production of solar panels, the expansion and creation of electric vehicle manufacturing facilities, and a transition to electric vehicles and hybrids and pollution control technologies. I'm especially excited of how our great city of Portsmouth will benefit from this infrastructure funding by being the place where the turbines will be built for the coastal Virginia offshore wind commercial project. Again, it is great that President Biden provided a vision for these ambitious acts to benefit our nation now and for generations to come. Dr. Stephen Covey is the author of one of my favorite books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. These two acts remind me of habit number 4, think, win, win. It is my belief that we should embrace these acts with a win-win mentality because on so many levels, they are a win-win for our present and our future. Thank you very much. Now I want to introduce our esteemed Mayor, the Honorable Shannon Glover.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. It is another beautiful day in the city of Portsmouth, and a very important one too. Because today, I'm here to tell you that the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 will be a true game changer for the city of Portsmouth. It represents the single largest investment in our nation's climate, communities, clean energy, jobs, and more. It is truly historic legislation that I believe will impact our city and its people for generations to come. How, you may ask? It will lower energy costs for Portsmouth families. It will slash climate pollution by roughly 40% nationwide, while creating nearly 5 million clean energy jobs over the next 10 years. It will modernize our power grid and save us money on gas and energy bills. And amazingly, estimates say it could save low to moderate income families over $28,000. $28,000. That means a lot to families. In short, this landmark legislation will protect our city's health, our environment, and our economy, and will position Portsmouth for even greater success as a strategic home port for wind power energy. All I can do is smile about this, because today, our city's future is brighter than ever, thanks in no small part to the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. And now, I could not be more pleased to welcome and thank our state delegate, Nadarius Clark of Portsmouth, Virginia. Delegate Clark has worked tirelessly to make this day a reality, and there's no one better, I know, to show how this legislation will impact our nation, our Commonwealth, and the great city of Portsmouth. I want to thank all of you for attending today. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to all the goodwill that this opportunity will bring to the citizens of Portsmouth. Have a great day.
Good morning. My name is Ebony Wright, and I'm excited to be here today to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. It is a huge win for this country and a huge win for Virginians. While the act covers many benefits, I am most excited about the cost savings for families and combating climate change. I am grateful for Congresswoman Luria and the others who voted for this legislation. We need elected officials who care about lowering costs, combating climate change, and tackling inflation. We are grateful to have Congresswoman Luria in the 2nd Congressional District, and we hope to keep her here this November. The Inflation Reduction Act will lower energy costs, increase cleaner production, and reduce carbon emissions by roughly 40% by 2030. As a parent of a college student, and as my husband and I prepare for retirement, I am pleased with the savings and tax incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act. It will allow us to save money on our energy bills and at the gas pump. The provisions in this act makes purchasing electric vehicles more affordable through rebates. You can receive up to $7,500 for newly purchased electric vehicles and up to $4,000 in rebates for used electric vehicles. The Inflation Reduction Act also allows rebates on rooftop solar energy. You can receive up to 30% off the purchase of cost of rooftop solar. The act also makes it more affordable to convert your home from fossil fuel-based to electricity-based heating and air. You can receive up to $14,000 in rebates to switch to electric appliances and receive 10 years of consumer tax credits on home improvements to make your home more energy efficient and run on clean energy. There are other rebates and grants provided in this act, and all of these incentives are extremely important. As you all know, climate change is now affecting every country on every continent, and this act puts us right on track to combat climate control. But we must still continue the fight. We must still continue the fight. Our future depends on it. My grandchildren's future depends on it. Your grandchildren's future depends on it. So we must take action, and we must continue to fight. At this time, I am honored to introduce Delegate Nadarius Clark from Virginia's 79th District.
Good evening. Thank you for that introduction, community activist Ms. Ebony Wright. And thank you all to all the speakers today, and thank the Climate Action Campaign for the opportunity to celebrate the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act with you all. I want to first thank the members of Congress and the U.S. Senate who supported and voted for the IRA, especially Virginia's own Congresswoman Elaine Loria, Congressman Bobby Scott, Senator Tim Kaine, and Senator Mark Warner. The Inflation Reduction Act is a huge step forward for public health in Virginia and beyond. According to a report by Energy Invocation, a nonpartisan energy and climate policy group, new initiatives found in the IRA will save lives by preventing up to 3,900 premature deaths, 100,000 asthma attacks, and 417,000 lost work days by the year 2030. It will make our air cleaner through tax credits combined with state and federal administrative actions that will cut harmful air pollutions, such as sulfur dioxide pollution, by 86 to 89% by 2030, and nitrogen oxide pollution by 59 to 63%. Additionally, the Inflation Act recognizes that climate change disproportionately impacts the health and well-being of low-income communities and communities of color. The IRA will fund a range of programs to reduce air pollution, including for fence line monitoring and screening near industrial facilities, air quality monitoring sites, and monitoring and mitigation of methane and wood emissions. It will also upgrade and allow housing, affordable housing upgrades to reinforce against climate action and increase water and energy efficiency. Expanding the USDA's urban and community forestry program with tree planting projects that will help cool neighborhoods with a priority for projects that will benefit underserved communities. Advancing transportation equity and resilience with a new neighborhood access and equity grant program to improve walkability, safety, and affordability, including projects to protect against extreme heat, flooding, and other impacts. These victories will make life better for every Virginia in a huge step forward for public health and low-income communities and communities in color in particular. I am extremely grateful to our congressional and Senate delegation here in Portsmouth for supporting this endeavor, and I look forward to the fight ahead, because we're not just fighting for now, but we are fighting for the future. We are fighting for our children. We are fighting for our grandchildren. We know here in Hampton Roads that the floods are going to come. We have to be steadfast and we have to combat them. And I thank you all for your support. Thank you again for coming out. We get a group picture?
Yes.
Y'all want to come together?
Tell us what to do.
Right, if you all want to come over here, I think we'll probably take a picture right here in front of the signs.
I was trying to